I was born and raised in Israel, but I now live and create art in California's Bay Area. Having a great passion for painting animals, it was only natural for me to draw upon my cultural heritage to create the animals of the Bible painting series. I will be traveling to Israel to conduct the research for this exciting project. I have been preparing for this trip for several months now. I will be in Israel for less than a week, so everything needed to be planned ahead. Equipment to pack, places to visit, animals to photograph, people to contact. Every minute counts. I have no room for error or change of plans. Three airplanes and 28 hours later, I'm finally in Israel. Heading to Jerusalem, I hope to get a good night's sleep to gather energy for the next hectic days. This morning I head up north to visit the Carmel Bar. In this reserve, the fallow deer are bred in order to be released back to the wild. I usually make several trips to photograph an animal in order to study its features and focus on the composition I would like to paint. Unfortunately, on this trip to Israel, I don't have this luxury. I need to take as many photographs as possible so I will have enough options to paint from. Suddenly, I notice movement in the dry weeds. A grasshopper. I have been looking for grasshoppers for my locust paintings for a while now with no luck. They are not found in zoos since they are supposedly everywhere in the fields, just not where I was looking. Now that I knew what to look for, I suddenly saw them everywhere. Today, I'm visiting the Antelope Ranch in the Arvu Desert. Nov, the range guide, gave me an overview of the place. Some of the animals were strolling around right next to us. Out in the blazing sun, the animals roam free, crowding together, almost motionless, under the thin desert shade. When photographing animals, you can only plan so much. The animals won't pose for you. If they don't come out, you will return home with no photographs. When I arrived at the crocodile farm, the crocodiles were hiding underwater to escape the heat, so Orit, the owner, arranged for me to visit with Sliman, a local Bedouin who heard about my project and invited me to photograph his camels. I got very close to the camels and took wonderful photographs of them. As the shadows grew long and the air cooled slightly, I returned to the crocodile farm. By then, the crocodiles came out and I was able to photograph them. It has been a long, hot day. I'm staying in the desert tonight because tomorrow I will be visiting the Yotveta Bar.
Making sure all the conditions are good, giving water, and if
After a short explanation of the animal's life at the reserve, Hadass, the Chaybar veterinarian, drove me into the reserve in their massive truck. They too have antelopes, but my focus here was on the ostriches. Hadass took me as close as possible to the animals, making sure I get many angles to photograph from. I wrapped up my visit to the Arvu by photographing snakes and leopards. The big cats were all conserving their energy in the scorching heat. After 2 strenuous days in the desert, I was happy to be back in Jerusalem. My last day in Israel was dedicated to the Garden of Zoological Research at the Tel Aviv University, a little piece of heaven in the heart of this busy city. I photographed many more snakes. But even more exciting, frogs, lots of frogs. And ants to complete my Animals of the Bible series. Back in California, I'm now working to create my Animals of the Bible paintings. Going through the thousands of photographs I took in Israel, I look for a composition I would like to paint. Determining the identity of the animals mentioned in the Bible is sometimes far from simple. For instance, on the 5th day of creation, God created the large taninim. In modern Hebrew, taninim refers to crocodiles, so when planning for painting, I had crocodiles in mind. But in the different English translations, I saw that God created great creatures of the sea, great sea creatures, great sea monsters, great sea beasts, and even great whales. I was puzzled. I wasn't sure which animal I should paint. Historian Anat Perry clarified this issue for me. To determine the original meaning of a word is to go back to the time it was written and understand what it referred to. Based on common beliefs of neighboring cultures in biblical times, the Greeks translated tanin as cetus, a mythological animal. Translating Greek into Latin, cetus became a dragon, another mythological animal. Over time, languages evolve and the meanings of words change. Through the centuries, cetus was related to the whale and was translated as such in the German translation by Luther. So I could now see how the original Hebrew tanin was translated as sea monster, sea creature, dragon, and even a whale. But then how did tanin become a crocodile in modern Hebrew? In the book of Exodus, we see tanin used interchangeably with the word serpent. However, in the later book of Ezekiel, the prophet compares Pharaoh to the great tanin sitting in the Nile, namely a crocodile, which is the meaning of the word tanin in modern Hebrew today. Realizing that the word tanin referred to different animals at different times, I decided to paint them all. I work with impasto oil paints. I use palette knives to apply the thick, heavy paint and slowly build up the many layers. Having to wait days, sometimes even weeks, between each layer, I can work on several paintings at a time. It's a process that takes months to complete the painting.